Second question, this is the 1 million time. Who is your scientific role model and why?
I think it's important to have many different mentors and role models in order to influence you and to hopefully generate you into, or hopefully mold you into an individual that can approach problems in multiple different ways.
One of many possible role models for me has been Ben Barris. He was a passionate researcher of the role of glial cells in development and disease, and he showed that these glial cells play more than just a supporting role in the brain. Much of his work has laid a foundation on which a lot of dementia research is now following. In addition to this, Ben was an advocate of diversity and equality in science, which has resonated with me from when I first came out as a gay scientist during my PhD.
Professor Richard Milne at UCL, who taught me on the immunology and infection course. And he taught me to question everything, to ask why something is a certain way. And this perspective has really helped me as a researcher. He also taught me how to read my first scientific papers, which was super useful.
For me, someone like John Beckford really stands out. He was the guy who led the research team that isolated a gene for the first time, which is obviously a huge scientific achievement, but what makes him stand out is that he championed doing science not in a vacuum, but as part of a wider community. As part of this, he fought for social justice, most famously in 1969, but all the way through his career. And if you do get a chance to read his book, it's well worth a read.
And scientifically, I would say my PhD supervisor, my DPhil supervisor, Professor Colin Blakemore, and my postdoc supervisor, Dr. Brad Hyman, were both amazing. They both taught me so much about how to be a good person, be a good supervisor, how to find joy in the science, how to do it rigorously.
If I were to focus on one, maybe my first mentor is Dr. Dennis Dixon in the Mayo Clinic in Florida, who had such a passion and enthusiasm for science and sleuthing and understanding what was going on in terms of disease progression, and had such a fascination which he really did exude and passed on to me in such a way that I hope that I still have that enthusiasm every single day of my career.
I came from a unique situation where every single one of my mentors was female. And so I came through this phase of science where I only ever saw women being extremely successful and operating at the top of their games and the top of their department's games. So for me, that was just incredibly important for my development as a scientist, because I never felt like that there was anything that I couldn't do or that I didn't deserve to be here. So I feel really pleased that and grateful and fortunate that was how I was brought up as a scientist.
I don't have a specific scientific role model. I like different scientists for different reasons. I admire scientists that have a vision, that think out of the box, that are innovative and create new tools for them and others to move forward on their research. And especially, I like scientists that use their work to benefit others.
So in research, I admire more the scientists who next to their research also try to do something for the community. I think, for instance, Paul Nurse is a nice example. Another example here in the UK is Peter Piot with all his work around AIDS and then trying to get therapies to people and getting the investment in research needed to solve the problem. Another example from my older time is Guy Simmons, who was the director at the European Motor Biology Laboratory, and was also a very engaged scientist. So there are many of these examples.
I'd say my mom is a huge role model. She's not a scientist, but she taught me the joy of learning, and I think that's one of the other best things about being a scientist is that we get to continue learning for our whole lives and our whole careers.